Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Yasodhanandana Braja Janardana. Yasodhanandana Braja Janardana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yasodhanandana Braja Janardana. Yasodhanandana Braja Janardana. Yasodhanandana Braja Janardana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Javihari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Shri Radhe, Jaya Radha Madana Mohan Radha Madana Mohan Shri Radhe, Jaya Radha Govinda Radha Govinda Shri Radhe, Jaya Radha Gopinatha Radha Gopinatha Shri Radhe, Jaya Radha Shama Sundar Radha Shama Sundar Shri Radhe, Jaya Krishna Balaram, Krishna Balaram, Krishna Balaram, Jaya Krishna Balaram. Jaya Gauranitai, 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 Jaya Gauranitai. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Nitai Gaura Haribol, 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 Nitai Gaura Haribol. Nitai Gaura Shitanath Premanande. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shrimati Gopal Krishna Goswami Tamini Prabhupada Sasaityam Rapakasha Vitirita Vacharang Kirvanshadu Gatpate Namaha. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Simate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Sarasvati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirbhisesa Sunyavadi Pastatya Deshatarine Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manovistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamaya Dati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Juta Padakamalang Shri Gurung Vaisnavamscha Shri Rupang Sagrajatan Sagana Raghunatan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sadvadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Sri Visakambitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesa Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute. Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vindavaneswari Visabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanang pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Ghaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. We continue reading from Bhagavad Gita as it. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Jnāna-yajñena cāpy anye yajanto mam upāsate ekatvena pṛthaktvena bahudhā viśvato-mukham jñāna-yajñena cāpy anye yajanto mam upāsate ekatvena pṛthaktvena bahudhā viśvato-mukham jñāna-yajñena cāpy anye yajanto mam upāsate ekatvena pṛthaktvena bahudhā viśvato-mukham. Somebody.
ekatvena pṛthaktvena bahudhā viśvato-mukham jñāna-yajñena cāpyanye yajanto mam upāsate ekatvena pṛthaktvena bahudhā viśvato-mukham
Jnāna-yajñena cāpy anye yajanto mam upāsate ekatvena pṛthaktvena bahudhā viśvato-mukham. Word for word meaning jñāna-yajñena, by cultivation of knowledge. Cha, also. Hare Krishna. Yes. Oh. Can you tighten up? Tighten up. Acha. Okay, good. Tighten up. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Cha, also. Api, certainly. Anye, others. Yajantaḥ, sacrificing, mam, me, upāsate, worship, ekatvena, in oneness, pṛthaktvena, in duality, bahudhā, in diversity, viśvata-mukham, and in the universal form. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Others who engage in sacrifice by the cultivation of knowledge worship the Supreme Lord as the one without a second, as diverse in many and in the universal form. Please repeat. Others who engage in sacrifice by the cultivation of knowledge worship the Supreme Lord as the one without a second, as diverse in many and in the universal form. Purport. Let's put this into silent. Purport. This verse is the summary of the previous verses. The Lord tells Arjuna that those who are purely in Kṛṣṇa consciousness and do not know anything other than Kṛṣṇa are called mahātmā. Yet there are other persons who are not exactly in the position of mahātmā, but who worship Kṛṣṇa also in different ways. Some of them have already been described as the distressed, the financially destitute, the inquisitive, and those who are engaged in the cultivation of knowledge. But there are others who are still lower, and these are divided into three. He who worships himself as one with the Supreme Lord, he who concocts some form of the Supreme Lord and worships that, and he who accepts the universal form, the viśva-rūpa of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and worships that. Out of these three, the lowest, those who worship themselves as the Supreme Lord, thinking themselves to be monists, are most predominant. Such people think themselves to be the Supreme Lord, and in this mentality, they worship themselves. This is also a type of God worship, for they can understand that they are not the material body, but are actually a spiritual soul. At least, such a sense is prominent. Generally, the impersonalists worship the Supreme Lord in this way. The second class includes the worshippers of the demigods, those who by imagination consider any form to be the form of the Supreme Lord. And the third class includes those who cannot conceive of anything beyond the manifestation of this material universe. They consider the universe to be the supreme organism or entity and worship that. The universe is also a form of the Lord. Jñāna-yajñena cāpy anye yajanto upāsate. Ekatvena pṛthaktvena bahudhā viśvato-mukham. So here, specifically explains three other types of worshippers of the Supreme Lord, but in a lower category. They're not considered to be, even before that, the four types of personalities who approach the Supreme Lord. And they were called the mahātmās. Mahātmās. It was mentioned in the previous verse. Yesterday, you read it. The meaning of mahātmā. Satatam kirtayanto mang yatantascha dridha vrata Namasyantas chamang bhaktya nitya yukta upāsate. They're always engaged in devotion, perpetually worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that's why it's called mahātmā. And as Prabhupada says, you cannot rubber stamp a mahātmā. Just like here in India, we had Mahatma Gandhi. But that Mahatma, because he's a great soul, he wanted to get rid of the British government. And in doing so, through his ahimsa, non-violent purpose or procedure, he was successful. But then Prabhupada also, in the last stage of his life, he informed him not to get too much involved and get more absorbed in hearing and chanting, or become absorbed in Kṛṣṇa. So Mahatma, they're always engaged in chanting the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. No other business except being engaged in glorification of the Lord. But it's very rare to be Mahatma. Sa Mahatma sudurlabha bahunam janmanam ante gyanavam prapajyante vasudeva sarvam iti sa Mahatma sudurlabha. Sudurlabha means extremely rare to be a Mahatma. Now, in the sloka that's being discussed today, under the discussion, there are what you call also jñānis. Jñānis also are worshippers of the Supreme Lord, but not like the bhaktas. Because the bhaktas, when they worship the Supreme Lord, they know that Kṛṣṇa is God, is the Supreme Lord. The other jñānis, they are seeker of knowledge, but because they have not have a concrete understanding of the Supreme Absolute Truth, so they are what you call also mental speculators. They're not able to come to the platform of knowing Kṛṣṇa or Vasudeva. Sarvam iti is all in all. He is the complete, the Supreme Absolute Truth. And therefore, the three personalities mentioned here are not in the same level as the Mahatmas who worship the Lord constantly. So these jñānis or worshippers of the Supreme Lord mentions here, they're in three levels. First of all, the Mahatmas, the Sukritinas, and these three kinds of jñānis. The jñānis, these three kinds of jñānis also are worshippers of the Supreme Lord, but not in the highest degree. And it says here, the lower, that means the three jñānis, or those who worship the Supreme Lord in his impersonal aspect. Number one, he who worships himself as one with the Supreme Lord. Usually this is the goal of the jñānis. Sayujya mukti, becoming one with the effulgence, the Brahman effulgence of the Supreme Lord. And therefore, they understood that this is the highest goal, to lose one's identity, to become one. There is no way we can become one. It's like oil and water. You cannot mix together. Or as Prabhupada says, a better example of that is like a molecule of water. If you put back to the ocean, that molecule still remain as it is, identity. It did not become the whole ocean. So similarly, yes, we are one in the sense that we have the same quality as that of the Supreme Lord, full of knowledge, bliss, and eternity, the jivas, but they can be covered up Tatashta. We're in the Tatashta Shakti. And the Supreme Lord, He is in the unlimited degree, full of knowledge, bliss, and eternity. Unlimited and cannot be covered by the material energy. So these foolish mental speculators, they think that when Kṛṣṇa comes, He becomes like us. Prabhupada gave an example. It's like the magistrate. He'll go to the prison house, and the prisoners will think, oh, He became like us. He's also a prisoner. No, He can go in and out and cannot be under the jurisdiction of that law to be in jail. So yes, He worships Himself. Let me see the notes here that we have. He considered Himself becoming one with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which is not possible. There is no way. No way that one can become. Ekatvena, says it. Ekatvena worships himself as one with the Supreme. So this is the lowest and the most predominant. There are many Mayavadis, impersonalists. That's why Srila Prabhupada came to the West to defeat all of these impersonalists or Mayavadis, Sunyavadis, impersonalists. Because if one is not under the guidance of a bona fide representative of the Supreme Lord, then he may study the scriptures and he will come to the wrong conclusion. An example Prabhupada gave also is like, you can go to a library and read all the medical books, but that doesn't mean that after finishing all the books that you've read medically, you become a doctor. You have to go to a university and then you have to burn the eyebrows, so to speak, and pass the examination. Then ultimately, yes, you'll be considered given diploma of being a doctor. So these impersonalists, they're the lowest and the most prominent. Very rare that we will find a devotee compared to the Mayavadis. But even in Vrindavan, there are Mayavadis. There are impersonalists saying that when you become liberated, you will become one with Narayan. You are Narayan. I am Narayan. And then in the morning we will greet each other, Namo Narayana. Namo Narayana. Because you're Narayan, I am also Narayan. But they're very expert in flowery language, and if you are not philosophically strong, you will get caught in the trap. They're very expert. But once it comes to the understanding of one becomes liberated, they will say, yes, you become one with Narayan. So the destiny, it says here, destiny is given in text 9, 11, and 12. Let's see that. Text 9, 11, and 12. Fools deride me, abhajananti mudha manusim tanum ashritam parambhabam ajananto mama bhutā maheshwaram. Fools deride me when I descend in the human form. They do not know my transcendental nature as the Supreme Lord of all that be. And those who are thus bewildered are attracted by demonic and atheistic views. In that deluded condition, their hopes for liberation, their fruitive activities, and their culture of knowledge are all defeated. So they'll not be able to come to the platform of Bhakti until they meet devotees of the Supreme Lord. Another personalities mentioned who are still in the lower category, that means jnanis, and comes to the mental speculators, or also seekers of the Supreme Lord. He who concocts some form of the Supreme Lord and worships that. That means demigod worshippers. Demigod worshippers. So don't think that we did not come to all of these different categories. We were like this before. Now that this is the culmination of our searching about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We were mental speculators, we were impersonalists, we were Mayavadis, and then after that, then he becomes a demigod worshipper. There's a lot of demigod worshippers in India. They think that the demigods are God. There are many gods. Prabhupada says how many? 33 million? 33 million demigods. Huh? 33 crores. That means 1 crore is 1 million? 10 million. So how many is 33 crores? 330? So it's 330 million? You always hear 33 million, isn't it? We didn't hear 330 million. We always hear 33 million. But nevertheless, quite a lot. They're the ones who's responsible for the administration of our universe. The sunlight from sun god, Vivasvan. The water department. Who's in the water department? Varuna and Indra also. Yeah, they're responsible. The wind, Vayu. Yeah. Huh? Varun also? Vayu. Yeah. So many. Even our body is composed of material elements. 8 material elements, 5 gross and 3 subtle, is also provided by the head of the demigods, Lord Brahma. So everything we owe, and those who wish to fulfill their material desires, they will approach the demigods. And because they are very easily pleased, like Lord Shiva, Ashutosh, easily pleased, then he can bestow the blessings. But those blessings or benedictions did not come from them. They're not the source. Ultimately, Kṛṣṇa is the source. So if somehow those worshippers of the demigods understood that, why should I worship the person who is not the source? Let me worship the person who is the source of everything, Lord Kṛṣṇa. Again, after many births, one will come to this position. Yeah. So the demigod worshippers, they are there. Pṛthaktvena. So this includes demigod worshippers, and later on it'll be discussed in text 20 till 25. Text 20. Those who study the Vedas and drink the Soma juice, seeking the heavenly planets, worship me indirectly. Purified of sinful reactions, they take birth on the pious heavenly planet of Indra, where they enjoy godly delights. So, in the heavenly planets, there are further more facilities when it comes to sense pleasure, sense enjoyment. However, it's the same thing. one will not be able to live eternally there. One will also come down after that pious credit is over. As Prabhupada says, if one wants to be a Lord Brahma, to have the position, because demigods means these are positions, it's not eternal. Somehow they had attained pious credits from the past, and therefore they attained that position. If one wants to have the position of Lord Brahma, then one can live 100 lifetimes of pious activities, then one can have that position of Lord Brahma. But it mentions also that once we were Lord Brahma. So we must have attained all of these different positions in the past, even demigod's position. Because the soul transmigrates from one body to another in different species of life, 8,400,000 species. We were in the heavenly planets, we were also in the lower forms of life, and now that we are here in this present position, human form of life, this is the best way how we can get out of this material world. So, these different demigod worshippers are there. Pṛthaktvena, and then the other ones, out of these three categories, he who accepts the universal form, the viśva-rūpa of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and worships that. Yeah, they accept the universal form of the Supreme, viśva-rūpa. Now, this form of the Lord also is temporary, because universe is temporary. One of the expansions of the Supreme Lord. It is temporary. It is meant for those who are neophytes, especially. Then this is the gradation. After becoming jnanis or mental speculators, then worshippers of demigods, and then eventually it'll go to worshipping the Lord in His universal form. Yes. Out of these three, the last one is the best. Worshippers of the universal form of the Supreme Lord. So they consider the universe to be the supreme organism and worships that. Even the aborigines, sometimes they come to that platform also, worshipping the different material elements. They worship the fire, pagan worshippers. So it's a gradual elevation of one's understanding the Supreme Lord. Even though these are lowers, but then eventually they'll become devotees of the Supreme Lord. They cannot conceive of anything beyond the material manifestation. And then it'll be discussed for the next 3 slokas, or 4, 16, 17, 18, and 19, about this worship of the viśva-rūpa. Yes. So, God worship. This is also God worship. All of these 3 types. But it says here also, very important, that ekatvena, worshipping the Lord, as becoming one with the Lord, this is also worship of the Supreme Lord, because at least they understood that they're not this body. They worship themselves as one with the Supreme. So at least they understood that they're not this body. But understanding that you are not the body, that your spirit soul is not enough. And one can be in this platform also, of becoming one with the Supreme Spirit. If you cannot become one with the Supreme Spirit if you don't understand that you are not the body. That means you have to understand that you are a spirit soul. Okay, so let me merge with the Supreme Spirit, Supreme Whole, or the universal Spirit. Yes, and then therefore these three levels of worshippers, mahātmās, four types of sukritinas, and these three types of jñānis, ekatvena, pṛthaktvena, and viśvato-mukham, are mentioned here in this section of the Bhagavad Gita. How fortunate we are, somehow or other. So I called been there, done that. Now we are in this platform. Like this morning we went to Madhuvan, where Dhruva Maharaj performed his tapasya. Madhuvan, very ancient, millions and millions of years old place, and it's still there. So in the beginning, Dhruva Maharaj, he wanted to fulfill his material desires, but somehow or other he had darshan of Lord Vishnu, Lord Narayan, and he became a devotee. So this Dhruva Maharaj is one of the examples here of seeker in the four types who approach the Supreme Lord. He's very desperate. He wants a kingdom better than his father. But then Lord Vishnu gave him a kingdom better than his grandfather, Lord Brahma. He attained a planet which cannot be destroyed, even at the time of dissolution. The North Pole or North Star, Dhruva Loka. That means Dhruva is still there. Always there. That is not in the material world. That planet is in the material world, but it is considered to be not in the material world. It is considered to be also a spiritual abode. He lives there eternally. So, what to say? The Kumaras also are considered to be in the neophyte stage. They were Brahmabhadis. That means they have realization of the Brahman, the Parabrahman, that Supreme Spirit. But then they became devotees as well after smelling the Tulsi and Chandan from Lord Narayan. They're all considered to be neophytes. But then ultimately they become pure devotees of the Supreme Lord. What to say of us? If they are neophytes, then what are we? Probably not even neophytes. About to become neophytes. But then it says that when one chants the holy name of the Lord, you must perform all the sacrifices and all the austerities, and you must have been to all the holy places. You must have given to all types of charities, that one come to the culmination of our search or our journey to realize the Supreme Absolute Truth. That one is now, we're trying to dedicate ourselves, trying to surrender, trying to perform bhakti unto the Supreme Lord. So how fortunate we are that we have been through all of these phases. All of these phases. And now that we have come, and the final conclusion is that yes, whatever we do, especially here in Vrindavan, is magnified 10 million times. It's like the gopis' love towards Lord Kṛṣṇa is 10 million times more than the love of Kṛṣṇa towards them. The beauty of the gopis is 10 million times more multiplied when they see Lord Krishna's beauty, or their happiness is 10 million times more than Lord Krishna's happiness. When Krishna sees the gopis, his happiness increases. But then the gopis' love and happiness and beauty is multiplied 10 million times more than Krishna. Krishna gives that special treatment, special reciprocation towards them. So that is our goal. That's why Gopishwar is there also in Talavan. Gopishwar. We had darshan of Gopishwar today. Lord Shiva in the mood of Gopi. Gopishwar, that means Gopi, he is the Lord of the Gopis. But ultimately the Lord of the Gopis is Srimati Radharani. That's why without the mercy and blessings of Radharani, then Lord Shiva was not able to transform himself to be a maid servant or a gopi by accepting the tapasya that was given by Yogamaya. Yogamaya, Purnamasi prescribed, if you want to enter Rasa Lila, then you have to become a female. So even the topmost Vaishnava, Lord Shiva, the most renowned, the highest level of surrender and bhakti, reached that platform where he was able to enter. But then again, he was not able to remain that long. And Lord Shiva became also the guardian of the four corners of Vrindavan. He is the protector of the holy dham. No one can enter the holy dham without Lord Shiva's blessings, without his permission. How exalted Lord Shiva is. Of course, we've heard Lord Shiva is none other than Lord Krishna as well, but the mood is different. So everyone serves Lord Krishna. Even Krishna himself wants to serve himself as Lord Balaram. He wants to serve. Lord Balaram is the Supreme Personality of Servitor Godhead. He's God, but his duty is to always serve God. Krishna. Krishna's duty is only to accept service. But for his devotees, he will render service. And that is his service towards his devotees, to please them. So how exalted the devotees are, the position. So this is like a gradation, how one ultimately will come to that platform of serving Krishna and have Krishna become obliged to his devotees. Okay, I stop here now. Is there any question or comment? Yes, Mataji.
Thank you for the lecture, Maharaj. Just have a question about, can you talk about the difference between Mayavad and Advaita philosophy?
Yeah. Mayavad means their concept of everything is Maya. Bhakti is Maya. God is Maya. Maya means ignorance. Everything is ignorance. When I reach my liberation, I am becoming also one with ignorance. Mayavad. So the Sunyavadis, the impersonalists, that means they negate the existence of everything. At least the Mayavad, they accept that everything is in ignorance. But for Sunyavadi, they don't accept anything. So which is more? The atheists, they don't believe in God. But the impersonalists, they don't accept the existence of God. And therefore, it is more offensive, this Sunyavadis. There are two, Mayavadis and Sunyavadis. Impersonalist, and also the other one is like accepting everything as Maya. Bhakti is Maya. God is Maya. The whole world is Maya. But we don't say it is false. It is real, but it's temporary. For them, this is Maya. Everything is Maya. You're Maya, I'm in Maya. So, no. And that's why when we utter the pranam mantra, the second part of Srila Prabhupada's mantra, Nirbhisesa Sunyavadi Paschachade Satarine. So he came to this material world, and because especially in the West, not just the West, here in India also, I told you, even in Vrindavan, so-called sadhus, people flocks. They go, they revered him, they worship him, they give so much emphasis as if he is God himself. But he is a Mayavadi. How misleading that to others. There is one Baba here, he constructed a big temple, and if you want to become his disciple, you just give him 1 rupee and he will accept you as his disciple. So he has lakhs and lakhs of disciples, and in that way he was able to build a temple. There is one mandir here. When you go inside the temple, they worship him more than Radha and Kṛṣṇa. They will offer Radha Kṛṣṇa plastic garlands, not like this. You're not allowed to bring offerings, and Radha and Kṛṣṇa is enclosed in a glass. But then you will see his like murti, I will not call it murti, a statue, everywhere, with his disciples. So they worship, they revered him. That's very dangerous. And he thinks that he is the incarnation of Lord Chaitanya. He doesn't look like Lord Chaitanya. So we must be very careful, even here in Vrindavan. That's why Prabhupada says, don't go outside of 4 walls of Krishna Balaram Mandir. Don't spend too much time in Loy Bazaar. Prabhupada says, if you want to forget Krishna, go to Loy Bazaar. You'll be absorbed. Of course, it's not the same if you're buying for your deities. Then you remember Krishna. But if you're buying, oh, nice dhoti, I want this, or nice sari, yes. That you'll be so absorbed. Some devotees, they go there every day. Hare Krishna. You don't have to go. Maybe once a year I go there. So, yes, the whole world is full of Mayavadis and Sunyavadis. So you must be well versed in our philosophy, because they're very good. When they speak flowery language, you'll be so captivated. You'll be enticed. You'll be allured by the way they speak. but inside, they are not devotees. No. It's like a wolf in a external look like very, but inside, oh, be careful. Anything else? Any other questions or comments? Shall we stop here now? Okay. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur Shitanath Prema.